Hi folks, how are you doing? This is your host sjsrana. I'm just trying to do this quick YouTube session for the update, and basically this on due for the triumph of justice system in the US based on George Floyd trial of murder by Derek Chauvin. So time is around.
Time is 8:33 hours UTC April 21st, 2021.
So I was continuing from a last video session where I was going on the spirituality discourse, had some few points which were quasi essential at the very minuscule level, and that brings a big change in humanity. So now yesterday and day before yesterday I was more focused on the trial of Derek Chauvin, ex-police officer of Minneapolis Police Department, how it unfolded and what was defense and the closing arguments for both the sides were saying. Obviously, no doubt this is a plain attempt to murder and murder itself, because things have gone beyond what could anyone comprehend. However, I was watching both the sides because, the judge and the jury has a very, very thin line to delineate between what is supposed to be there and what is being presented and what are the evidences leading to. In this case, there is no doubt, iota of doubt, that evidences were crystal clear. All the videos, CCTV from all the places at Minneapolis were obviously there, giving the clear indication that George Floyd was pinned down and excessive use of force by police department was seen. Obviously, they singled out a person, which is Derek Chauvin in this case, which was quite obviously because everybody else shook off and threw the towel on this person because he acted alone. It was a lone thing because everybody else was just trying to understand what's going around. So this is how it happens, because of this whole racial bias people feel in US right now after many, many deaths going in the hands of police department. People felt that they're not getting justice. As Martin Luther King said, just injustice anywhere is threat to justice everywhere. So this is what exemplifies the justice. This is where things have to come to a place in fruition. He was found guilty on all three counts. I heard Steve, who was basically counsel for the George Floyd, and I also heard Eric Nelson, Eric was also presenting Derek Chauvin on the case. So I could sense that this is obviously a case where evidence is leading to everything and nothing else needs to be proven here. Second degree murder, third degree count of murder, all three counts were proven guilty on Derek, and he was arrested, I guess, which was obviously the triumph for justice in US system. But however, the situations were getting complex because how Maxine Waters was intercepting what justice could happen, or if it doesn't follow the route, then the consequences obviously that were quite threatening. And you could see presence of more than 300 troopers in the Minneapolis, and that was also putting a lot of pressure. So I could not spend more time because I was just trying to understand many other things of the world, but I did put it in my article. Yes, it seems like it could be relaxed, and that was what was pointing to, that he would face sentencing, but it could be relaxed because there are many other factors which are going in, as he being a police officer, he being not directly involved, like it was not the intention or motive of direct murder. But obviously those 8 minutes and obviously plus 28 seconds of that clip where he had him down was obviously his intentions were not right. It doesn't prove that he was intending to murder, but obviously his intentions were evil and devil on George Floyd, who was complying with all the orders police department gave, and there was no non-compliance, so there was no reason for force. Exactly, that's what Steve mentioned, and everybody from the defense counsel of George Floyd. said, this is completely in compliance and there is no reason for use of force. So I think now, after the triumph of US justice system, DOJ, I congratulate everybody over there, especially the Black community. My thoughts and prayers with everyone. Obviously, George Floyd cannot be brought back, but some extent of justice, some solidarity seen from the justice system, and America is participating in it, which is a good thing. And I think now a broader question arises: what police reforms would there be after this monumental judgment? Because more than 450, I guess 470 people, Black community have died in the hands of police department in last 20 years in Minnesota alone, which is quite alarming situation. This is just Minnesota. Think about other areas, what goes on in Texas, or what goes on, all other counties, New York, and obviously we have to have a broader outlook. So I guess this is an impending question to the Justice Department and the political arena. Goes back to Biden-Kamala administration. Obviously, other big agenda and topic which has to be resolved is the border crisis. Biden-Kamala administration hasn't put much efforts to resolve it. It's going out of hands. CBP, ICE, DHS, USCIS, all are worried now. If criminals are let in, what's going to happen to the country, to the nation. So moving quickly from that, I want to also highlight what's going here around the world and the globe on COVID-19. Recently, I've heard very good comments from Boris Johnson, who made it clear from UK that they are doing some other measures to prevent COVID-19 because of their discipline, very nice discipline presented by UK, where they are able to now put COVID-19 under control, and now people can enjoy some sort of freedom. So Boris Johnson made it clear in yesterday, quick briefing on COVID-19, that they are going to look for the alternatives. They're looking at the medicines, they're looking at other things which are innovative, and that's very good gesture. Obviously, Boris Johnson is doing a lot of good things for the community. He has already spoken quite well on women's safety and protection, and this is what I like about Boris Johnson. Going back on COVID-19, India has made its mark as the highest deliverable on COVID-19 infection for the world, which marks almost around 0.3 million. They're touching 300K infections now, and that's the number for April 21st, 2021. That prompted me also to make this video, a quick snappy video. So what basically boils down to why India is experiencing a massive, huge second wave. It's not just people alone, it's the lapses. It's what you call, those government official authorities who didn't take it seriously, the second wave. Look at how India government behaved on elections. Massive rallies in the state of Bengal in India recently held in April, and the first weekend they were having massive rallies around. There is no doubt about it. There are videos, there is evidence all around, so they cannot deny it. Why India government wasn't proactive there? Delhi also same situation. Delhi was having everything going around. People don't follow social distancing in India at all. And only recently now they've started to understand it. The mask policy, the social distancing, those things are quite essential of the guidelines of WHO. Now, apart from that, there was a Kumela controversy. They said Kumbh Mela, which was the massive gatherings of Hindu festivities where millions of people gather on planet Earth, was supposed to take place on 2022. Which were preponed to 2021. That's a question why it happened. Obviously, because I don't belong to the ethnic religion in India, it's very, very hard to comment anything on their religious belief or faith, because then you could be a target of hate crime. That's why I also refrained from commenting, and I've been knowing this part, but I didn't comment. You want to stay away from hate crimes in India. That's prime thing, because I've been recently a victim of hate crime, and I've seen, who attempt to murder was taking place on April 12th on me, and why anybody in my neighborhood could not help and come to even ask, why these perpetrators were doing what they were doing. So I alone was fighting a battle with many of them, So it's been always the same case. I'm always alone fighting the battle, whether it's verbal, whether it's trying to defend human rights of other people, or females, getting sexually exploited here, trying to write articles. I'm always alone. That's what I've seen in past 7-8 years in India. I'm always alone, and I'm fighting with all the evils and devils around, which basically trying to put this whole situation worse for the whole planet Earth. Look at how recently this simple act of metaphors took place in Australia, where they launched a video of milkshake, a girl aged 22, 23 asking a boy aged 25, 27 on the video, which was created for this purpose of consent, where they were putting the metaphors instead of directly having a consent. And that went viral because people said, okay, you could put a metaphor for something like a sexual consent, then it becomes a question. If that is how it's supposed to derive a consent, then there could be a lot of mistaken consents. Female don't normally mean what they say. They could be, somebody else could be mistaking it, and that went quickly out of the roof, and people started basically putting it as a sexual harassment, consent harassment, and which was taken down finally. Obviously, see, there is a requirement for people to get together. They can have a healthy communication. There's no doubt about it. It's the prime, most important. That's what PM of Australia, Morrison, mentioned in the last month, that an explicit consent is good, and an open communication between males and females is the only thing which is a healthy society. But look what happens when you start understanding or trying to prejudge a metaphor or trying to create a drama for something. In India, around my neighborhood, I've seen, I know all other cities of India are following the same thing. I've heard from people feedback that, they are having this metaphor drama where, they try to stand at some place or try to perform some act, and it's given as a consent to get together, or dating, or you can say, even to sexual intermingling. But that's where the whole thing is unfolded now. And this is how things come up, that this milkshake video of Australia has given the ample amount of evidence that metaphor don't work. If there is a consent, the consent has to be explicit. Sexual consent is required. It has to be clear, crystal clear. Otherwise, it's an assault. That's what Denmark in 2019 and 2020 kept stressing, and they made it a law that explicit sexual consent is must, else it's an assault. That's what PM Khan is telling. That's what even UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson said. That's what Morrison meant, Australia Prime Minister. But India PM Modi has been silent. He's too busy in rally. Now he's too busy in COVID-19, and for him, he doesn't have a time to speak on this forum at world level that yes, explicit sexual consent is must, else it's a rape. That's why India population is contributing maximum sexual assaults to female to world community. Every 15 minutes there's a sexual assault in India. That's again a conservative number based on NCRB. New Delhi, it's a report compiled by National Crime Record Bureau. Now, what will it take for planet Earth to heal out of all such chaotic things going around? That's what was my spiritual discourse last time. I'll continue just 2 or 3 more minutes on that, and I think we'll call a wrap, because situations in the world are basically degrading. There is not much of hope where humanity is trying positivity. You look at the situation at Ukraine, Russia, Donbass, and situation with NATO is already getting too complicated. They have more than 150,000 troops President Putin has to order on the western border to make sure that the people who are speaking Russian in the Donbass area and Ukraine do feel safe. They don't feel like they are left alone, because Ukraine is also having its own divide and conquer policy. So I understand the point of Russia, President Putin making. At the same time, NATO is after Ukraine to make it an escalation. And there is no resolution coming up. I think in May, which is just 12 days, 10 days away from now, we could see something happening as a major flashpoint. So Donbass situation has to be put under control. There has to be some peace resolution, or there has to be some talks, which are not happening so far. So apart from that, I want to also come back on spirituality discourse, just like 2 minutes more. I've already taken 14 minutes of time. I just want to make it snappy, that there is a problem with our consciousness that doesn't try to give us the answers where we need to find it, because we are blocking our consciousness with our own metaphors, with our own cognitive dissonance. See, why cognitive dissonance takes birth, why people are not able to get to the right decision, is where they start deviating from the path of truth. So truth is one thing. Living a truthful life in practical is another thing. So let's say you see a tree. It is truth. It's truth. It's true that tree is there. But really, is that a tree? Or is this our own imagination? That's where the things come into play. From the physical metaphor, yes, the tree is there. You can see from your eyes. See, these are the perceptions. But if you ask a scientist, a physicist, a nuclear physicist, or even if you ask, quantum physicist, he'll say there is nothing. There's no such thing as tree there. It's just like loose fields of muons and everything else coming into play and giving you that image, and you're making it as a tree. Now, to an average person, this would be a bizarre contradiction of what he's seeing and what is actually there. That's why I had floated 7 years back, 5 years back, again and again, this concept that remember, reality is subjective. Reality is subjective. Knowing abject reality is our objective. So that's what my quote was. I again repeat, reality is subjective. Knowing abject reality is our objective. So I again say, what our 5 perception, eyes, sense, smell, taste, everything, hearing gives us is just what appears to be there. That doesn't mean abject things are there. So this is where the cognitive dissonance plays the role. And that's where we have to come to a point where we try to go to the abject reality. The truth is one part. Truthful living in practical is another part. And understanding all the pieces together connected to make it a truth is altogether another part. So in 3 essence, you see truth. You see truthful living, which is implying in your life practically daily, then understanding all what it takes to present you what is actually abject truth. That is where the whole crux, whole things come into essence and fruition. So if you are able to understand this spiritual phenomena, now it doesn't take anything else to you to be a religious. If you have this phenomena, you are also religious, you are also highly spiritual. Because the religious books are indicating that part, but we are forgetting in religious rituals, getting at a specific time, doing specific things at a specific time is making us all bonded and taking us away from the object reality which we have to experience in this lifetime, which is truth, experience of the truth, the true nature of this whole cosmos. And if we understand that part, then it is you are more tuned to God spiritually than you need religious books to make you understand what it says. I mentioned last time I would not quote. I know I've been reading a lot of religious books, the Holy Book of Bible. I read Holy Book of Quran. I read Holy Book of Torah. I read Holy Book of Gita, Hindu's holy book. I also read Holy Book, obviously Guru Granth, which is a holy book of Sikh, so scriptures. So this is where whole thing is. The truthful living is more important in life than anything else. This is where justice stems from. This is where peace comes from. This is where even love. So imagine there is a love. All this consent and non-consent and sexual encounters, and females are fed up that, sexual predators are preying on them. This whole thing is coming based on one point. People are away from truthful living. Yes, they may speak truth. Let's say they're reading a scripture, it's truth. So they're speaking truth. They're observing something. Let's say they go to temple, they go to mosque, they go to church. Yes, they are seeing what they're seeing is truth. Yes, life of Jesus is truth. Life of Muhammad, peace be upon him, at mosque is truth. Life of Guru Nanak, which is from Sikhism, is truth. Life of Shri Krishna, which is from Hindu scriptures, is truth. But are we implying or practically implementing in our daily life what those people were trying to indicate to us for our benefit? That's the question I leave you to. So unless those things transpire in our life, we are way away from getting to know object reality, and that is called self-realization. And self-realization is the time which Mother Nature, or you can say Providence, has provided you now. You ask me how? COVID-19. COVID-19 came after I coined the word hashtag MAY2019 chaos. That was in January or February 2019, and then came COVID-19. So this out of chaos, it's trying to tell us that, social distancing, and now is the time you introspect yourself, focus yourself within for self-realization. So the saying which I have quoted earlier, I leave you there. And so you can introspect, you can understand what now is required to make everything work for betterment of humanity. Climate change is another hot topic. I've not touched the topic of muons, which is fifth discovery of force, which have been claimed by scientists at the Fermi lab. I have not gone to that topic now. I have gone through everything over there. I will tell you in my next topic what they talk about muons, and whether it's true discovery of fifth force or there's something else also. That's another topic. I don't want to digress more from my content here. So I leave you with the ending quote, which I have been quoting again and again. Remember, reality is subjective. Finding abject reality is our objective. Okay, guys, I see you later. You can always comment on my YouTube channel. I don't see a lot of you commenting. You're free to comment whatever you like. I don't mind. I'm going to reply to you on all my YouTube videos. You can reply, you can watch it. It's under YouTube search sjsrana, and you can also log into my site onewordpress.wordpress.com. You can also send me or comment me on my public forums, which I write it on fb.com/trustonemust. So you're free to do commenting. Obviously you have to have open communication. When I'm in India, I have this number +9, which is the country code 896-810-7947. I've been having this number for almost 10 years when I came back from US America to India 10 years back in 2000, late 9 and 10. Thereafter I had this number. I've never changed it. I've always had this number to my this number. I'm telling you my logs for 1 year or 2 years. I don't receive any call from India. People don't call me. I don't know, it's a hate crime or it's government surveillance, or it's something where people are after them, that he's a human rights activist, he's a philanthropy person, let's keep him separate, isolated. And obviously for 2-3 years I've been isolated now. I don't know, I'm already into social distancing for last 2 years. For me it doesn't change anything. For me, I'm contented. I'm always satisfied with my own self-learning, self-understanding, self-immersion, you can call, and that's where the growth is coming. And you always find me glowing with happiness, because for me isolation is a key to understanding, unraveling. Remember, reality is subjective. Finding abject reality is our objective. Okay, guys, taken more than 22 minutes. I'm going to wrap up now. So stay tuned. More contents to come. I hope US is enjoying the triumph of justice. Thanks.